Under a popular cold hardy crops video on YouTube, a viewer typed one question in the comments. So, how many of these are zone 3 to 4? The creator never answered. And that comment explains why so many cold climate gardeners keep failing in July. You did everything right. Picked crops from a cold hardy list, planted when the packet said, watered through August. By September, half the row bolted. The rest never made it before frost. You spent Saturday wondering if you just do not have a green thumb for the cold. You do. The list was wrong. Almost every zone 3 to 4 gardening video I could find was built around a zone 6 or 7 calendar. They tell you kale survives to -30. A Minnesota gardener comments, "No, it does not. The top dies." An Alberta gardener adds, "We get -40. Nothing lasts." They are both right. The advice is answering a different question than the one you are asking. Zone 3 and 4 in July is a different game. 7 crops that actually work, plus one specific number. 8 inches. That gives your Winter Bloomsdale spinach its best shot at making it to April. Drop your state and zone below. Minnesota, Maine, Vermont, North Dakota, Upper Wisconsin, Upper Michigan. Where you garden changes everything in this video. Number 1. French breakfast radish. The oblong 25-day radish that survives late summer where round varieties crack. What is the fastest thing you can plant in July and still eat before your first frost? For Zone 3 and Zone 4, it is not lettuce. It is not baby spinach. It is a radish, but not any radish. Every Zone 3 to 4 gardener has been told the same thing about summer radish planting. Skip it. They all bolt in the heat. Wait for September. And that packet of round, red radishes sitting in your seed drawer from spring? For a July Zone 3 to 4 planting, it is the wrong tool for the job. The variety changes everything. Round radishes mature fast at the crown and split open in late summer heat. French breakfast is a different shape. Oblong, scarlet with a white tip, 2 to 3 inches long, matures in 25 days from direct seed. It is a French heirloom, first offered in America by James J. H. Gregory of Marblehead in 1875. You will not find this level of detail on most seed packets, but the shape of the root is exactly why it holds up in July heat. A July 5th planting gives you crisp radishes by July 30th. So again August 1st for a second harvest before Labor Day. After lining up the fast radishes, French breakfast is the one I would put in July soil for Zone 3 to 4. Fair warning, this has one condition. Radish roots do not tolerate freezing. The tops are frost hardy, but roots freeze and turn to mush below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Harvest all of them by first frost. Not a storage crop, a fast crop. So here is your move. Direct sow 1/2 inch deep. Seeds 1 inch apart in rows 6 inches apart. Thin to 2 to 3 inches after germination. Germinates in 4 to 7 days at soil temperatures 60 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Harvest at 3 inches long. Succession sow every 7 to 10 days for continuous snacks through August. 25 days. Zone 3 or Zone 4. Plant it the week you watch this. Eat it before August is over. Number 2. Matador spinach. The German biodynamic variety that reads your Zone 3 to 4 August as its favorite season. You planted spinach in April. It bolted by June, so you gave up on spinach for the year. That is the exact story I hear from Zone 3 to 4 gardeners. It is the wrong lesson. The common wisdom on spinach for Zone 3 to 4 goes like this. April sowing. Done in June. Every Zone 3 to 4 gardening resource repeats the same line. If you missed the spring window, you missed the whole year. Matador is a completely different tool. Bred by Kultursat, a biodynamic breeder in Germany, specifically to be slow to bolt in warm weather. 28 days to baby leaf. 48 days to full mature harvest. What the label does not tell you is why this matters for a zone 3 to 4 July sowing. Spinach bolts when it senses long days and heat. Once temperatures dip in August and September in zone 3 to 4, spinach reads that as its favorite season, not its dying season. Matador in particular slows down bolting because it was selected in Germany for exactly that trait. In plain English, spinach thinks it moved to a nicer neighborhood. You are standing in front of your bed on July 8th. Half the row where your April spinach died is bare dirt. You have 2 months of frost-free weather ahead. That empty stretch is a Matador row waiting to happen. Sow it Sunday. Baby leaves by August 5th. Mature leaves by Labor Day. Here is who should skip this and why. If your first frost hits before September 15th, that is northern Minnesota, Vermont mountains, upper Maine, plant by July 1st at the latest. Zone 3A with a September 10th frost should stay in baby leaf territory only. Do not sow after July 15th at Zone 3. This is exactly what to do. Direct sow a 1/4 inch deep in soil temperatures 40 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Space seeds every 1 to 2 inches. Row spacing 5 inches for baby leaf harvest, 12 to 18 inches for bunching. Successive sowings every 3 weeks until 4 weeks before your first frost. 1 packet. You planted 0 spinach after June because you thought the season was over. It was not. You just needed the right variety. Number 3. Ice-Bred arugula. 30 years of one Maryland farmer's selection built an arugula that treats July heat as an inconvenience. Every generic arugula list says the same thing. Do not plant arugula in summer. It bolts in a week. That advice is right for the arugula in a burpee packet. It is wrong for one specific variety almost no one talks about. The advice on every blog and YouTube video is that arugula is a spring and fall crop only, planted in July heat, and it flowers within days. The leaves turn bitter and tough. You throw the whole bed in the compost. The myth is that this is a fundamental limit of the plant. Here is where mainstream advice breaks down. Ice-Bred arugula was bred by Brett Groskell at Even Star Organic Farm in Maryland, starting in 1989. He crossed 2 European heirloom strains and selected for cold hardiness and slow bolting for over 3 decades. Every generation, he saved seed only from the plants that stayed leafy and slow to flower under the toughest conditions his farm gave him. Over 30+ years, that pressure compounded. What you get is a plant that tolerates 14 degrees Fahrenheit under simple row cover, turns purple in winter freezes instead of dying, and treats July heat as an inconvenience, not a signal to reproduce. This is not marketing hype. Just 30 years of one farmer's work paying off in your July garden. Tobacco Road Farm in Lebanon, Connecticut, has been growing Ice-Bred every winter for nearly a decade. They plant in November under hoops. Your Zone 3 or 4 backyard is not a market farm, but the variety is the variety. Planted in July, harvest full leaves before frost, and the plants that survive under snow come back purple in April. Before you try this, know the limit. Big box seed racks do not carry this. Neither does Johnny Selected Seeds. Fedco, True Love, and Annapolis Seeds are the ones that do. If you searched Ice-Bred at your usual seed source and came up empty, that is why. Plan ahead. Here is the play. Direct sow 1/8 of an inch deep at 5 seeds per inch, rows at least 2 inches apart. Germinates in 5 to 7 days at cool soil temperatures. Harvest with a knife when leaves reach 3 to 6 inches. Cut 1 inch above soil for clean regrowth. Sow every 2 weeks until 2 to 3 weeks before your first frost. After comparing every cold-hardy arugula I could find, this is the one I would not skip. A single packet costs about the price of a coffee, and it gives you usable leaves in July heat when generic arugula has already bolted. That one variety switch, from a generic packet to Ice-Bred, is worth more than most gardening books teach in a full chapter. If you want more like that, real varieties, real zones, real numbers, hit subscribe. Every video, same level of detail. Number 4. Contender Bush Bean. The July gamble that only pays off if your first frost lands after October 5th. I could hype this up, but I want to be straight with you first. Bush beans in July are a gamble for zone 3 to 4. Contender is the only variety that makes the gamble worth taking, and only if your first frost falls after October 5th. Every still time to plant list includes bush beans without zone qualification. If a bean matures in 50 days and you have 60 days before frost, you are safe, they say. That assumption fails for half of zone 3 to 4. Here's the part nobody puts together. Contender is a stringless heirloom from 1949, an unusually cold-tolerant bush bean. Matures in 48 to 50 days from direct seed. Germinates in soil as cool as 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Zones 3 to 6. Now do the frost math. July 5th planting plus 50 days puts first harvest on August 24th. Bush beans concentrate their harvest over 1 to 3 weeks. Zone 4 with October 1st first frost. 5 weeks of pods. Zone 4B or 5A with October 15th frost. Comfortable window. Zone 3A with September 15th frost. Flowers and immature pods when the frost hits. Everything dies. Here is when it fails. If you are Zone 3A with first frost before September 20th, do not plant Contender in July. You will waste seed and bed space. Zone 4A with first frost around October 5th. July 5th planting works. 4 to 5 weeks of pods. Zone 4B or 5A. Comfortable window. Check your first frost date right now, not the average. Look at what actually happened in your microclimate the last 3 years. Pull up your zip code frost history right now. If the last 3 Septembers hit before the 25th, close this tab and jump to kale. That is the honest answer. For those with the late frost window, sow 1 inch deep, seeds 2 to 4 inches apart in rows 24 to 36 inches apart. Germinate at soil temps 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit ideally. Tolerates 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Bush habit, 12 to 24 inches tall, no staking. Harvest pods at 6 to 8 inches long, before seeds fully form. This is a July crop for the lucky half of Zone 3 to 4, not everyone. Check your frost history before you buy the seed. That is the end of the fast harvest side. Now the calendar flips. These next 3 crops are not just for fall. You plant them in July so spring has something waiting. Number 5. Winterbor kale. The July planting where leaves die above the soil but the taproot comes back in April. Every list you have ever read says kale is cold hardy. Kale survives to -30, or -20, or -10, depending on which YouTube channel you watched. You have probably heard this 100 times. Plant kale, harvest it through winter, laugh at your Zone 6 friends buying grocery store kale. The assumption is that Zone 3 to 4 kale gives you winter salads. It does not. Here is what actually happens. Below 0 Fahrenheit, the top of the plant dies. In Zone 3 and 4, it dies every year. That is not a bug. That is the strategy. This is not winter harvest. This is overwintering. 2 completely different plans. Winterbor is a Dutch F1 hybrid bred for cold tolerance. 55 to 60 days to full harvest, 21 days to baby leaf. Newfoundland gardeners grow it uncovered in full snowpack. Michigan Zone 5B overwinters it under snow cover alone. Watch what happens when a Zone 3 to 4 winter hits kale. The leaves are full of water. Hard cold ruptures those leaf cells, so the top collapses. That is the ugly part you see in November. But the crown is lower, tucked against the soil. Mulch and snow keep that crown from taking the full hit. When the soil warms in April, the crown pushes new leaves. So your job is not to save every leaf. Your job is to protect the crown. Picture your bed in late September. Winterbor is 2 feet tall, ruffled blue-green. You have been harvesting outer leaves for a month. First hard freeze comes and leaves collapse. You throw 5 inches of straw over the crown. Come April, when neighbors are just starting seeds indoors, you have new kale pushing through the mulch. Zone matters here more than usual. Zone 3A, with minimum temps hitting -40, even mulched crown may not survive. Some winters yes, some winters no. Treat is annual. Harvest hard before frost. Plan to replant next July. Zone 3B to Zone 4. 4 to 6 inches of straw mulch gives you real spring bounce-back odds. Zone 5A and above. Bounce-back is nearly reliable. 1 packet, 1 row, 1 date. Direct sow 1/2 inch deep, 3 to 4 seeds every 12 to 18 inches. Thin to 1 per group. Rows 18 to 36 inches apart. After first hard frost, apply 4 to 6 inches of straw mulch over the crown. For Zone 3 and 4, this is the kale worth planting. Plant it in July, eat it into October, and if the mulch holds, eat it again in April. Number 6. Winter Bloomsdale spinach. Hit the 8-inch rosette by October 15th or lose the April harvest. 8 inches. That is the size your Winter Bloomsdale spinach rosette needs to be by mid-October if you want it to survive a Zone 3 to 4 winter and give you an April harvest. Ask any Zone 3 to 4 gardener and they will say spinach cannot survive real winter. April spinach bolted. August spinach never made it past November. They have written spinach off as a winter crop entirely. The piece most guides leave out is what makes 8 inches the target. Winter Bloomsdale is bred from David Landreth's 1800s original, not the regular Bloomsdale long-standing. This one was bred for fall sowing and overwintering. 45 days to maturity means July 15th planting hits full size by August 30th. That gives you 6 weeks of fall harvest. Then the rosette overwinters. Below freezing, spinach starts moving starch into sugar. That sugar helps the leaves handle cold instead of turning to mush. But size matters. If your rosette is tiny, it does not have enough stored energy. If it is too tall, wind shaves it above the snow line. You want a low, fat rosette by mid-October. That is why I aim for 8 inches before hard winter. After the first hard frost, cover it with straw and let snow do the rest. This one changed how I think about summer planting for a Zone 3 to 4 winter. You are not chasing a fall harvest. You are engineering a plant that lands at exactly the right size for a Minnesota February. Miss the target by 3 weeks, and you get nothing. You walk out on April 10th, a month before neighbors even start seeds indoors. You pull back straw mulch to find a spinach rosette that made it through your Minnesota February. That first spring harvest tastes different, not because of the variety, because you engineered it to be there 9 months earlier. Fair warning, Zone 3A with first frost September 10th or earlier. Plant by July 1st, or the rosette will not hit 8 inches in time. Late plantings still give you fall harvest, but skip overwintering. If your winters have spotty snow cover, bare ground in January and February, odds drop hard. Snow is insulation. Without it, wind and dry cold desiccate the rosette. Open, windy area with unreliable snow? Use a low tunnel or a straw cover through winter. This is where you make the change. Direct sow a 1/4 inch deep, seeds every 1 to 2 inches. Thin to 4 to 6 inches apart. Row spacing 12 to 18 inches for bunching, 5 for baby leaf. Sow late July for Zone 3, late July to early August for Zone 4. Target: 8-inch rosette by October 15th. After first hard frost, apply 4 to 6 inches of straw mulch. 8-inch rosette by October 15th. Straw mulch after first hard freeze. That is the play. Everything else is just showing up on time. Number 7. Harris Early Model Parsnip. The only common crop that turns your frozen Zone 3 to 4 ground into a working root cellar. What if the coldest month of your Zone 3 to 4 winter was actually when your garden made you the most food? Not from a greenhouse, not from a cold frame, from dirt frozen solid since November. Every garden book says parsnips are a spring crop. That calendar works for Zone 6 and 7. Zone 3 to 4 gardeners hear spring planting and skip parsnips. Their spring is too cold and short. Every plant and forget list skips parsnips because 100+ days sounds like too much. The truth is more specific than that. Harris Early Model matures in 80 to 90 days, not the standard 120. Plant it July 1st and you hit maturity by late September, right when hard frost arrives. Now the strategy shifts. You do not harvest in October like your Zone 7 friend. You leave every parsnip in the ground and let winter do the work. Parsnips are built for this trick. Once hard cold hits, the root turns starch into sugar. The colder it gets, the sweeter that root tastes when you dig it. And because the food is underground, soil does part of the protection for you. That does not mean you ignore it. You mulch the row after hard frost, then dig only what you need in spring. You are not growing parsnips for fall. You are engineering underground food storage for April, May, and June. The months when your indoor seed starts have not even produced anything. Of everything on this list, this is the one that feels most like cheating winter. You walk out on a Saturday morning in early April, ground still frozen a foot down. Pull back 8 inches of straw. Push a garden fork in. Pull up 3 parsnips as long as your forearm. They taste like candy. Your neighbors are still paying supermarket prices. You started this row with July seeds 9 months ago. This is not universal. Here is when it fails. Zone 3A with first frost before September 15th. 80 days from July 1st puts you at September 19th. Too tight. Sow by June 25th. Zone 3B and 4A. July 1st works. July 10th latest. Zone 4B and 5A. Mid-July fine. Parsnip germination is slow, 2 to 3 weeks. Sow radish seeds as row markers. Here is the setup. Sow 1/2 inch deep, seeds 1/2 inch apart, rows 18 to 24 inches apart. Fresh seed only. Parsnip seed loses viability after 1 year. Thin to 3 to 4 inches. Water through August. After first hard frost. Apply 6 to 10 inches of straw mulch. Harvest March through mid-May by pulling back mulch as needed. Parsnips are the only common crop that turns your frozen Zone 3 to 4 ground into a working root cellar. Plant them in July, forget them in October, eat them in April. That is a July win nobody talks about. 7 crops for Zone 3 and Zone 4. July planting. Fast harvest crops. French breakfast radish at 25 days. Matador spinach for baby leaves. Ice-Bred arugula for the variety that refuses to bolt. And Contender bush bean if your frost lands after October 5th. Overwintering crops. Winterbor kale. Winter Bloomsdale spinach at the 8-inch rosette target. And Harris Early Model parsnip as your living root cellar. Now the 5 you skip. Cucumber and summer squash, too frost sensitive. Broccoli and cauliflower, will not head before frost. Turnips and beets, Not reliable for frozen ground storage the way parsnips are. Full-size tomato transplant. Will not ripen in your window. The frustrating part of Zone 3 to 4 gardening is not the cold. It is that mainstream advice was written by a Zone 6 or 7 gardener, assuming you have their calendar. You do not. You have 50 to 70 frost-free days after July 1st. Every variety choice matters more than in a longer season. You cannot fix that with climate. But you can fix it with better information. Zone 3 and 4 gardeners. Be honest in the comments. Which of these surprised you the most? Which have you actually tried? Then think of one gardener you know whose backyard is in Minnesota, Maine, Vermont, North Dakota, Upper Wisconsin, Upper Michigan, or anywhere the ground freezes hard and stays that way. The friend who quit gardening because nothing grows here. Send them this video. Just send the link. They have been getting Zone 6 advice their whole life.